Et aussi à la transformation de nos pratiques.
And also with
Europe scientific community, but also is one of these people.
Roman soldiers came and had these strings to hold the tents, and the length of the strings determines what we do now. I mean, what does River think about this?
in the context of the ecological transition, productive cities have to deal with new types of users. The acceleration of changes in the ways of life, technology, societal structures, climate, and so on, are challenging new visions for the future. How to deal with this metamorphosis? What about possibilities to adapt and to share spaces? In the video, we are going to discover key elements and innovative proposals about productive uses.
But moreover, the integration of the natural context, understanding water and vegetation synergies is essential to guarantee a successful implementation of any given project. Most importantly, the identity of any given site, the values that define its cultural, social, and environmental heritage are indispensable variables to be taken into account. And as a result, regenerate and reuse stand as the working philosophy where the identity, natural context, and all pre-existing conditions and structures become part of the new plan.
We imagine the city as an ecosystem with a complex, unstable, and variable metabolism, with its vulnerability, its criticalities, and creative peaks. We imagine incremental and adaptive action programs that capture these changing factors for targeted action able to return to citizens the times and spaces of urban living, enhance the intelligence of the community, and reconfigure from time to time the political, social, and economic relationships with the ultimate goal of individual and collective well-being. A vision, therefore, that challenges the rigid traditional tools of strategic planning.
So what are the potentialities of a site considered as a living milieu with significant natural, social, and local resources and cycles? And that's what is very interesting. It's not only a question of resources, it's also a question of cycles. And cycles are resources at the same time. And how to establish limits and crossing that could be used to reactivate a city as productive.
Significant natural resources, social engagement, and local economy are as common agents that determine the interfaces of our design. The interaction of at least two of these agents bring the spatial framework where different rhythms of living and non-living things coexist. In order to find these three common agents, we first state the key ideas behind each project.
Hybrid parliament acts as a physical interface between natural resources and social engagement.
For public spaces, nowadays, needs to interact with new needs. It is necessary to infrastructure the public spaces in a way that allows different things to happen. Places can be continually modified and interpreted according to changing desire and needs, and must dialogue with different and unpredictable uses. All this facing the deepest crisis that's ever affected our relationship with the planet. We are called to rethink our lives according to natural elements, no longer focusing on exploiting them, but above all on understanding and respecting their mechanism and their balance. This approach to the project can be experienced using the element without which it's not possible to imagine any productive system, any form of living, neither life itself, water. Thinking about the project as an interface means imagine to build systems that can connect places, people, and things, indulging and respecting the natural cycles which improve the actual conditions of habitability. The knowledge of the traditional settlement is fundamental to understand the relationship between cities and their territories, as well as its resources and risk.
We propose to work and to speak about three keywords: interactivity, cycles, and hybridizations. How to give potential to interactivity and interfaces. What are desirable exchanges? We speak a lot about exchanges, but what kind of exchanges we are desiring?
Water that belongs to the local cultural and productive heritage of this territory guides the project of the public space, and it can become a soft infrastructure that creates a link between elements that in this territory are not actually connected, such as the old town and the modern sprawl, as well as the natural landscape and the anthropic landscape. This soft infrastructure becomes an interface that creates interactivity between what already exists in the territory, its potential resources, and its communities.
The aim is to develop an interactive approach between human beings and non-human. How to design new eco-synergy in this sense? How to reconsider geographical foundation, tectonic, atmospheric, and biological agency, or I would say forces, power. How to reinvent the process of transformation of productive cities by examining the multiplicity of its agents and components.
I, San Bernardino, a river with the name of a man, allow myself the freedom to speak to you with a human voice. I invite you to join me. I declare the stage a parliament and bring a statement for discussion. We, rivers, plants, ecosystems, materials, we are agents, the non-human agents. Hereby, we declare our right to have a presence and a voice, to speak loudly, express our needs, feelings, and interests, in order to survive, exist, and flourish. We declare our political right to pronounce requests and clear agencies. Thank you.
You are right, San Bernardino. We need to take action and claim our rights.
Should we start with a question? New dynamics, new interactive potentials, circular system catalyzing flows, integrative and efficient processes, multiplying agencies. Ecologies, living and living together. Agency as something soft but focused, seeing the space around us. How can non-humans have agency? Observe the often forgotten margins, give voice to objects. Ways of multiplying, soft and hard, individual and territorial scales, urban symbiosis. Imagine new figures of interaction, difference between zero and bios. What about technology? Rapid margins and between spaces. How can users be involved? Natural and artificial environments meet. us?
Roman campsites, so that the Roman soldiers came and they had these strings to hold the tents, and the length of the strings determines what we do now. I mean, what does River think about this?
I mean, the river, of course, would say that it's extremely traumatized by this very straighting, channelized urban or human operations. But I think that actually what it would say is, don't worry, because what we want to discuss here is not oppositions. So it's not human versus non-human, but today we are invited to inhabit. And I mean, you see that part of our crew is a pair or a cooperative of windmills, which are equally part of the discussion, exactly because they're elements of the same mixed and merged world.
There needs to be an invention of another story to tell. So is Verbania a character in search of an author?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm not an architect nor an urbanist, so I can just witness a specific experience. We are dealing now with the together with Metaxia and Simona. From a public administration point of view, there are two key words, I think. One is participation, and the second is sustainability. Participation, because the relationship between human and non-human being needs to go back in the history. For example, we have established a permanent working group. This initiative will last till the end of the detailed plan we are drawing. The second point is sustainability, because here we have to pay a lot of attention on what we do, because talking about the soil destination, we need to follow the guideline that the United Nations established for the urban regeneration. That means durability over time. The second is scalability. This model has to be applied in different dimensions. And the third one is the balance between economic sustainability and the new ecologism.
Did you find new inputs or new ideas in this collaborative work?
I'm very happy that we were part of the European 15 competition, because the public administration needs a lot to get in touch with fresh ideas, opinion, and professional ideas, and young people and fresh proposal is very, very, very healthy. That we found a good way of working with Metaxia and Simona. So we have two parallel way of acting. On one side, the ideas, the confrontation, the participation, and on the other side, unfortunately, the need to match all this work with the bureaucracy. But I'm very happy. I'm very confident. I don't know if Metaxia agrees with me.
Metaxia?
I just have to say that what is happening at the moment in Verbania, and it's, I think, in a big degree thanks to Margaroli and to the people that are there, is that exactly as Chris was asking, how can we reconceive or reimagine what a project can be, to collect voices, allow people from any background and from any group to speak and imagine together with us, include as much as possible histories, memories, ambitions that are there, and therefore stitch very carefully all these things together to a project that then has to take different lives. So from a more administrative, let's say, phase to different shapes and so on. So yeah, it's actually a big applause from my side to the initiative of Verbania to start such a kind of endeavor, and big curiosity to see how this will develop.
Excellent. We will be looking forward to that.
Yes.
6 teams, 6 winning and runner-up teams in European 15.
From a linear to circular economy in productive cities requires a virtuous cycle of environmentally friendly production, reducing consumption and promoting recycling and reuse. Circular economy is about making with and from an existing situation from which environmental, social, economic, and political dynamics could emerge. The exploration of new possibilities considers sustainable relations between the local and the global economy, involving the different stakeholders and catalyzing flows and processes in more integrative urban and architectural projects.
This is a time of radical transformations. We live in an era of global economic growth and rapid urbanization processes. Our climate is breaking down. Our resources, our fertile land, water, soil, raw materials are depleting, while our waste is rapidly increasing. This is the result of an unsustainable way of living generated by a linear way of thinking: make, use, abuse, and dispose of. So, here's the biggest question of our time. How do we create a future in which humans and nature coexist? Circular economy is one of the approaches that can help us do something unprecedented: achieve a sustainable existence on Earth. What is circular economy? For Laterza, circularity is about transforming the unproductiveness of the empty spaces within the existing urban landscape and investigating its potentials as a starting point to re-establish its identity. You can hear circular economy as multiple definitions. However, a circular city is not simply a city containing circular economies. So how can circularity contribute to cities' resilience in terms of economy, society, and environment? We need to broaden our imagination. First, let's look at the world from a different perspective. Carefully tailored mapping allows us to observe phenomena that are invisible at first glance. By redrawing the territory, we can find hidden elements and unveil invisible relations. In the circular perspective, mapping a territory means unfolding the thick layers through the effort of representing its multiple materials, social, and environmental dimensions. This is done by merging a zenithal view with several gazes, visualizing its section material flows, man-made and natural processes. As such, envisioning new life cycles as a driver for future circular spatial developments. In Laterza, the design process started by reading the existing landscape and its historical, social, and topographical layers. Slow mobility itineraries have been designed to enhance the territory, linking nature, cultural heritage, and local production. The analysis helped to trace the unproductive areas and shape new collective urban spaces that could host activities and events for locals as well as tourists. It's not about singular me, it's about plural us. For Laterza, it is an open conversation between the main cultural and educational institutions of the territory and the participation of the local businesses able to bring innovation into the production cycles. The participants were asked to take ownership of the present, of the place where they live, thus becoming responsible for their future and the legacy to be left to the following generations, which is synthesize how multiple circular economy dimensions could merge in space. By adopting these instruments, design can act as a medium between politicians, policymakers, stakeholders, and local inhabitants in a necessary, open, and collaborative dialogue. Isn't today the perfect moment to push this shift?
What about synergies of scales in circular economy? Because it's a question of to match local scales, but at the same time to work with global scales, of course.
During the designing for European 15, we found that cities are, of course, not individual elements, but they are like dynamic parts in a larger complex territory. So we found that circular economy is like a flow between local and global scale, and has to flow between them to kind of enhance a sustainable and efficient use of primary resources, and therefore to create a collaborative production that, of course, respects the territorial social and economical background. So yeah, of course, to create a project that really works within the territory, we should focus on the local scale. But of course, for Laterza, we had to focus on the local, but to share what we found to the global scale to kind of refound the identity of the city in the region, not only for Laterza itself.
It's the potential of a new urban ecology as a driver for the transformation is present in different ways and scales and time frames. How can be a new green economy from a circular perspective be infiltrated in the city to trigger these transformations? And how this new economy, new green economy, could be the bridge in between natural and social connections.
How crucial was, for example, for Laterza, the management of the water cycle. I don't know if Patrizia can first answer the question and explain to us how important was for them to introduce in the brief the necessity of the management of the water cycle and even the city's accessibility to it.
Yeah, Laterza is a small city in the southern of Italy, and we have a characteristic because we had the site of the European site, which was a square, or better, 3 squares linked one to another. Were located between the historical center on the side and the new 20th century city from the other side. We have an important naturalistic attractor in Laterza, which is the Ravine. The Ravine is a great canyon, one of the largest canyons in Europe. We have it is long about 12 kilometers. The team, the European project, give us the possibility to reflect and how to solve this problem, because the water, which is for us a problem, the surface water, can become a great opportunity. The water became in the project the connection between the city and the Ravine, because European for us is to transform a fragility, our fragility, in a great opportunity of redefining spaces and redefining the connection of our city with the Ravine.
Thank you, Patricia. Mark, do you want to add something more? Maybe that.